So it doesn't really matter if you follow the real estate market closely or not. If you've been anywhere, basically not hiding under a rock, you've heard the rumbles of the word recession.
I get to it first, I got you mad. I guess that when I get to it last. Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up.
Economic conditions are determined by a wide range of factors. So rather than explaining all of them in depth, let's see what experts are saying about the future of the economy and a possible recession. But before we get into that, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this content with anybody that you think might think is dope, because if you think it's dope, they probably gonna think it's dope too. Hit that notifications button so that you're the first person to know when I drop new content. So let's get into it. Greg McBride, chief financial analyst at Bankrate, says 2 out of 3 economists are predicting that there will be a recession in 2023. So as the talks about a potential recession increase, you may be wondering, well, what does that mean for the housing market as a whole? So let's take a look at some past recessions and see what they did to housing prices. And then that'll give you an idea of what a potential future recession could look like for the real estate market today.
All right.
So typically, when people hear the word recession, they automatically think housing prices are going to go down. But let's take a look at some of the past recessions to see if that's actually true or not. So looking at recessions going all the way back to 1980, home prices actually appreciated in 4 of them and went down in 2 of them. Historically, when the economy experiences a recession, it doesn't necessarily mean home values will also fall. So despite some troubling signs, there's several signs to be optimistic that the housing market will weather an economic downturn. First, during times of economic downturn, deep dips in home prices, huge variations, is the exception, not the norm. When we look at the past 5 recessions, we see that home prices stand up to the economic downturns pretty well. For example, home prices actually went up 6.6% during the dot-com recession in 2001. And during 1980 and 1981, home prices grew by 6.1% and 3.5% respectively. In fact, only 2 of the last 5 recessions brought decreases in home prices at all. A small 1.9 drop in 1991, and of course, the one that everybody remembers, the massive 19.7% drop during the Great Recession. Secondly, housing inventory doesn't seem to be keeping pace with the demand because of the increase in interest rates that pulled a lot of buyers out of the pool. But we also don't have a bunch of people putting their properties on the market either. So the demand continues to keep that pace with the supply. Total single family inventory, which is the sum of newly built and used homes, sits at just 15.7 per thousand households. This is up only slightly from the record low of 14.9 set in December 2017. The fact that we're at a historic low in inventory is a huge sign. It's super important because it means that we're in a very different supply environment than we were in the run-up to the Great Recession, where we had a huge amount of homes and not enough buyers to actually fill the supply. Today's low supply environment means that home values are unlikely to fall, if at all, during the next recession. Home prices are going to vary from state to state, town to town, and from market to market, and will go up or down depending on the local area. But the average 2023 forecast predicts that home prices are going to stay pretty much neutral and not have a huge dip like we did in 2008. We just don't have the supply for it.
What could possibly go wrong?
And third, the demographic. The demographic structure of the United States should continue to support prime housing growth for over the next 2 decades. Currently, just under 46% of the US population is under 35. As this cohort ages and starts to desire buying homes, most people are expecting them to form new households, as they're going to be reaching their peak marital and childbearing years. The Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies estimates that millennial households are expected to grow by over 32 million over the next 20 years. That's a lot of new homes that will need to be built. That surge in home demand should continue to put upward pressure on prices until about the year 2040. But does a recession mean falling mortgage rates? Research helps to paint a picture of how a recession could affect the cost of financing a home. Take a look at this graph. Historically, each time the economy slows, mortgage rates decrease. In 1980, 1981, 1991, 2001, 2008, and in 2020. Fortune magazine explains mortgage rates usually fall during an economic slowdown. Over the past 5 recessions, mortgage rates have fallen an average of 1.8 points from the peak season during the recession to the trough. And in many cases, they continue to fall after the fact, as it takes some time to turn things around, even when the recession is technically over. In 2023, I think that mortgage rates are going to stabilize below the peak that we saw last year. That's because mortgage rates tend to respond to inflation, and early signs are starting to show that inflation is starting to cool down. If inflation continues to ease, rates may fall a little bit more, but long gone are the days of 2.5 and 3% interest rates.
Aw, man.
So the big takeaway is you don't need to fear the word recession when it comes to housing. Any recession we have would likely be mild for home values. So while history doesn't always repeat itself, we can learn from the past. According to most historical data, in most recessions, home values have appreciated and mortgage rates have decreased. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home this year, let's connect so you can get expert advice on what's happening in the market and what that means for you in this housing market. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. In the comments, tell me, what does your crystal ball tell you about what's going to happen in 2023? Do you think home values are going to go up, going to go down, or are they going to stay pretty much the same? I'd love to hear your comments. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this video, because if you think it's dope, then your friends are probably going to think it's dope too. My name is Dan the Realtor, and if I don't have the business yet, I'm working hard to earn it. So as talk about a percent, so as talk of a potential recession increases, the housing market doesn't necessarily. So historically, when the economy, regardless of whether they buy or rent,